Hello everyone. This is an awkward video to make for me because I usually don't talk about my personal life other than in passing. I have a very boring life. I don't think a lot of you even care about my real life activities, so I try to keep it off this channel. But yeah, I mean, recently I have been asked by a lot of people in DMs and in Subscribe Star about me mentioning that I might have to go to the hospital. And the reason I even mentioned it is because there might be a couple of days where I won't be able to upload videos. I'm sorry about it, but I really appreciate the interest that a lot of you have taken by asking me about my health. So I'll just tell you what has happened, even though it's something that I normally shouldn't. The internet is not a confession booth, and it's usually going to be used against you anyway by people who don't like you. So I guess I need to get ready for that. But here's the story, okay? I woke up a couple of days ago, and there was a zit on my back. Now that's a little bit unusual. I don't have zits at this age. But, it exists. Now I know. I took a note of it. It's like, okay, it's there. I mapped it, documented it, and moved on. And then the next day, it grows bigger. It grows bigger to the point where you could classify it now as a boil. And I'm like, what the hell is a boil? Why do I have one? I never have boils. That's something that you read about medieval peasants getting. I never dealt with this problem before. To me, it was new and bizarre. But okay, maybe I'll just leave it there. And the next day, it still exists, and now it's painful. And I do the reasonable thing. If something hurts me, I want to hurt it back. So I declare war on it. And I'm upping the game. I'm not messing around. I'm declaring chemical warfare right off the get-go. So I call my friend, which is a dermatologist, and she gives me all these tinctures and oils in order to make Big Pharma happy and to make the boil unhappy, right? So I start applying the chemicals, and it didn't seem to work because the next day, I was getting a fever, and it grew in size even bigger, right? So now I'm worried. I'm like, okay, well, if this is how you want to play, then I'm going to use the nuclear option. So I phone my friend, which is a surgeon. And I talked to the surgeon, and I'm going for a consultation. But by now, it doesn't classify as a boil. It classifies more like a lipoma, but it's not a lipoma. And I'm starting to think, my mind starts to ask questions. What could it be? Is it a kyst? Is it a sarcoma? This is what happens when you go to med school. You think of all the crazy and ridiculous things. So, yeah, I go to the private sector. You will ask, well, why didn't you go to public healthcare, V? Because you live in Romania and there is public healthcare. Yeah, if you want to wait 2 or 3 weeks, you go to public healthcare. But I'm a little bit worried about this, okay? It's unnatural. The speed of it all, it's a little bit alarming. And the fact that I had a fever leads me to assume that maybe I should take care about it as fast as possible. Now, this really hurt my finances because I wasn't prepared for this, but thank for the subscribers and you guys that watch my live stream. I was able to gather up a couple of super chats and be able to afford the $30 visit to a doctor. I know you guys are astonished. You're like, $30? Oh my god! No, yeah, this is how it is in Eastern Europe. All right, now you might say, oh, Eastern Europe is a little bit primitive when it comes to medicine. Unlike the uplifting and people in the United Kingdom or Britain. No, the doctors that are here go to work in your place. In fact, I'm willing to bet that if you're in the United Kingdom or in France, there is at least one Romanian doctor in your hospital. So no, the medicine is really the same. The prices are low because people can't afford to pay more. When I was a resident doctor, 3 or 4 years ago, I was making $300 a month. So yeah, I mean, $30 for a visit is a lot for a Romanian. It's a lot, okay? Now, where you are, probably not so much. But that's how much it costs here if you want to go into the private sector. So they look at it, they poke it, and they tell me to get an ultrasound, which is something that I've already expected. What I didn't expect is that the fastest time possible to get an ultrasound is tomorrow. So by tomorrow, I am going to live with this growth without knowing what it is. But hopefully the ultrasound is going to tell me what it is, and I am not going to need an MRI. If I need an MRI, then another 2 or 3 days until I can get one. But after that, hopefully I'll finally go to the surgeon. I don't think any other person has been so happy like I have been to go to the surgeon, huh? Do you guys want to see pictures of it? Like, I'm not showing you pictures of it because it's disgusting. But imagine like some bulge and it's purple and bad, right? Because it's compressing around the nerves and the veins and the arteries, and it's getting like this reddish color. It's like the color from out of space on my back, you know? It's not cool. Yeah, so that's the story. Like, this is the story. I don't know what it is. Gonna find out. That's why Jesus Christ invented imagery, so you can see it. Romanians healthcare, yeah, I pay every single month for it. But I do not go to the public sector because you have to wait. Like, if you have an emergency, yeah, you can't really afford. You can't really afford to wait for the public sector. If it's something that isn't an emergency, then it probably passes by itself, so you still don't need to go to the public sector. But I pay taxes for it anyway. In one way, I guess it's an advantage because the prices in the private sector are low because the public sector exists. Like, if the private sector would go like $300 visit to the doctor, then no one would be able to pay, and then I would have to go to the public sector as well. So maybe the fact that it exists is a good thing. I don't know. I don't think there are solutions for this, just trade-offs. But yeah, a lot of my English-speaking friends weren't able to comprehend. It's like, what do you mean $30 to go to a private clinic? But then you also need to take into account that a lot of people in Europe, and I'm talking about the uplifting, the moral, highlighted countries like the United Kingdom and France, they have a lot of people gathering money on Facebook because their kid is sick and they have to take him to America. You know, like, why does no one talk about that? Because isn't that an interesting thing? Like, why isn't it that is brought up? Like, why do they have to get him to America? Good question, isn't it? It's almost as if America is able to perform certain procedures that the socialized healthcare here in Europe aren't willing to cover. So that's, again, an advantage. Right? An advantage. Another advantage is the short wait times. Like here in my country, due to the bureaucracy, like if you want to go visit a specialist. For example, I knew exactly what the fuck I wanted to visit. Okay, I wanted to visit a dermatologist, and then I wanted to visit a surgeon. Well, if I wanted to go to the public, right, the bureaucracy would say that first I need to consult my family doctor. And the family doctor would make me have to wait. Usually a couple of weeks. Now, you would think that the family doctors are some sadists. They like to read esoteric lore about how to obtain power. And what they do is they make people wait so that people think the doctor is more important than it already is. But no, that's not the case. It's the bureaucracy. From my personal experience, a family doctor would spend 2, maybe 3 minutes with the patient, and then they would have to spend 10, maybe 30 minutes to do the paperwork for that patient. So most of the things they do is to write paperwork. That is the job of a family doctor, and that is why most people have to wait for weeks. And in the unlikely scenario that after you've waited so much, you finally go to the doctor and the problem still exists, because by then it's usually probably just got off by itself. But in the case that the problem still exists, then the family doctor will tell you what you already need to know is to visit a specialist, because they can't treat you there, right? Unless you have something minor. But if they make you wait a couple of weeks, the minor thing goes away by itself. So if it's something major, they tell you, well, we can't treat you. You need to go to a specialist, a cardiologist, a nephrologist, whatever. And then again, you have to wait. Right? So by the time it clears up, you finally go to that specialist, and then they tell you that the other thing you already know is that you need some investigations. You need blood works, you need a chest ray, you need like whatever. You know, because they're not Jesus Christ. They can't see through you. They know like the investigation you have to do. Then you have to wait again for those to clear up, you know, for the MRI machine to be prepared for you. So after you get that, you need another appointment with your first doctor. You have to wait. And you know, it's a very interesting process that I don't see Bernie Sanders talk about it. I'm not saying, you know, like for the people that really have no other option, like you genuinely do not have any other option than to use the public sector, I guess it's better than nothing. But when you realize that every single month you pay from your own hard work money for this state mandated insurance, and I'm not even talking about the time where you finally go to the hospital and they say, yeah, we know how to treat you, but we do not have the money to purchase the medication, or we do not have the money in order to purchase the investigation that you require. So you need to put out of your own pocket in order to pay for it. You know, like, that's, again, there are trade-offs. If you're fine with this system, then, you know, like, put it in your country, whatever. I personally, every single time I need healthcare, I go to the private sector because the public sector would kill me. Literally. Like, but either I don't need it, so I don't go at all, or if it's something really important, then no, you need to call the private doctor. Oh, and by the way, I'm pretty sure some of you will laugh about my little big problem, but take into account I'm 34 years old. Alright, like how old are you? Because you're going to get to my age, and then you're going to also encounter these interesting difficulties. At least I have the hopefully benign back tumor, and I don't have the, I don't know, hemorrhoid. That's even worse, right? Never had them before. But like, yeah, I mean, it's possible. It's possible to get them. So, you know, just, what am I talking about? Laugh it up as much as you are. Like, if my misery brings you happiness, then that's a good thing. So let me know what you think in the comment section, and I'll see you guys there.